So, when you collaborate with other agencies through the grants, is there always a push for collaboration when it comes to obtaining grants and then meeting the needs of people? And
Oh,
is that a
definitely.
requirement?
Yes, so most of the grants that we apply for, it could be like even as being recipients of different grants, we objectives or goals that we try to aim for. One of the good example is to reach the communities in low to moderate income housing. And
Mhm.
then a good collaboration in that sense will be like the GURA AMP managers or GURA itself, right?
Mhm.
So we're able to collaborate with them to target those the community in the low to moderate income housing areas, or even like in zero down or different communities on Guam.
So when it comes to like climate change, it's like a huge conversation when it comes to our islands, and people say that we're like the forefront of climate change. Do a lot of people from their home island transfer from their home island because of different negative impacts of climate change?
Oh, definitely. I know personally of some of my family members, they did move from the outer islands in Chuuk coming
Uh-huh.
to Guam because of maybe their source of food, like their farms or their crops. They're getting it's not as good as before because of the rise of the ocean,
Mhm.
and it's damaging their crops, and also the corals. Also, there's a lot of bleaching of the corals back home. So a lot of people,
Um,
they migrate from different places to different places. Some of if it goes to the extent where they have nowhere to go but to seek better life by moving abroad to come to Guam or to Hawaii or abroad to the States.
wow, that hurts
Mhm,
to hear. So sorry, that really sucks.
mhm.
Um, so I wrote some questions down. So if my hypothesis for collaboration were true, would your organization benefit from the data that collaboration with other organizations could make an impactful difference? And
Yes.
would it help with speedy policies and results that you're looking for through collaboration?
Mhm. There's this term that we always use, even the like people we work with or our clients especially, they would refer to as the system. The process is very long.
Mhm.
It takes time, right? I think it's because instead of just going to one destination, they will go to different offices to
Yeah.
get the services that they need. So I think a established collaboration between different offices or agencies, nonprofit organization, it'll help that lengthy process of the system to make
Uh-huh.
it a little bit faster. So definitely it'll benefit our services. It'll benefit the people that we work with, our clients, and also with our partners and then their clients as well. So I believe it's a very important thing that we should move forward with or have something like what you're doing, because I already believe that collaboration is very important, that we should all the different agencies, non-government, non-governmental agencies, even businesses to help in the sense of how we can benefit to help the people or help our island of Guam, right? Not even just on Guam, people within Micronesia from CNMI. So it was really beautiful to see that instead of just focusing on Guam, there's also, if you look outside of the lens of just the struggles that we're facing on Guam, there's a lot of problems happening regional or within Micronesia. So those are the ways to kind of also help Guam and also help our region, because I believe collaborating with the different islands, also different region, will also help us learn how we can better Guam and better the islands together.
Wow. This is exciting. This really does say that like collaboration could be impactful. What are some services that you provide? Oh wait, so yes, other services that are climate related. So you mentioned like language barriers. You've mentioned is there easier ways for them to come here from their homeland to here? Like, do some of them have problems getting the funding to get here?
I think funding is a problem, but it's like a long-term goal where family, they send some family members to come to
Mm-hmm.
Guam or abroad, and then they would work, and then slowly they will start purchasing their tickets. So that one's like a long-term goal,
Okay.
and then at the same time, it's a little bit of a problem. But I think one of the biggest problem that I would say is when they come here, and then you mentioned about cultural shock in the beginning, right? It's that
Yeah.
thing also, the cultural shock, and having them to learn the different lifestyle from back where they come from to Guam or abroad, because it's more, I would say, like Western culture, or a
Very
culture that
Western. Yeah.
is it's very blended. Like there's a lot of different cultures here on Guam, because Guam is like, it's a beautiful island with beautiful cultures. So, and also there's like different, like just talking about infrastructure, traffic light example. There's no traffic light in some of the islands, right? So we have to learn to adapt to a new lifestyle, and I think that's one of the biggest struggle comes with that is the language access, right? Because of course, um, back in the some of the islands, maybe English is not really it's not the first language, but they do speak English in some of the islands, but it's not as on Guam where it's like everybody speaks English, or everybody speaks like Chamorro in English, but learning different languages, it's a little bit of a problem, and understanding information especially, it's a big issue. So yeah, so I think the problem is not really coming here, because
Uh-huh.
there's the compact, the free association with the FSM and the FAS islands, FAS nations, but it's really coming to Guam, or to the island, to Guam or Hawaii or abroad, and then
Mhm.
getting informational or adapting to the life.
Um, this kind of reminds me of when Typhoon Marwar came through, and me and another organization and a lot of other volunteers, we were happy to help zero down. It was the first time I've seen those kind of conditions that are normal for people to live in, especially if they've migrated from FSM and other islands. And that was just so shocking to me. I was devastated that people lived like that. Do you feel like well, not only there's not enough resources right now that are properly going to people who need it, but do you think that maybe sometimes they're taken advantage of just because they weren't provided the sort of information that could help them better? So what I mean by that is, um, people said that when they got the land at zero down, they had to pay monthly. And while they did that, they also had to like build their house from scratch. And then once they pay off the land, that's when they own that piece of land, but it's still like a 30-year dream. And a lot of them end up staying in tin shacks with like no infrastructure, no connection to water or power. And that was so devastating to see. So I think my question was, do you think there's not enough education being presented to them, being shared with them before they get here?
Yeah, I think it's not really the education.
Mhm.
It'll be more of from knowing the community, and also coming from being a migrant myself, right?
Right.
There's this way of thinking, like back home
Hmm.
is the luxury of having like a house. It's a blessing, right? To have a roof over your head, to have
Right.
a table is that's a big blessing. So in some in in the standards of like moving abroad to Guam, in the lens where they see, if you have, from the community's perspective, like if I have a roof on top of my head, if I have a place to sleep or the place to eat, I'm good, because that's how it is back in the islands, right? You could be
Okay.
living in a tin house and you're good, and then you come to Guam, the standards is a little bit more higher, where like you have like a couch or cemented ground or cemented roof, and
Hmm.
then those are you will move from a category from a substandard housing to a good housing where you have infrastructure, right? So
Right.
I think it's the humbleness at the same time of back home. It's pretty normal just to stay in a shack. It's you're happy, you're good, you live off the land, you live off the ocean, you're pretty much happy, you don't have to go to work. I mean, you just work at the farm and go to fish, you go fishing. So life is pretty good. And then you come to the to like Guam or Hawaii or the States, where standard of living is a little bit different. It's something that they're still learning to adapt to, or they're like, oh, this is how I live back home, I could live like this, I'm good, I'm happy. But actually when like other when people other members of different communities will come to that community and they'll be like, oh, this is how they live. It's different because it's the standard of them
Right.
migrating to the island of Guam, and then they're like, oh, this is the standard of back home. I think it's okay that I'm happy, I'm good, I have a family, but it's actually not good. So it's more of being humble, I guess, where they come from. And to also, I think what you were also asking is, or stating, is about educating them to move from that standard to another standard of like building infrastructures, right? So I think it's not really education, but I think it's lack of resources of helping that community, of
Mhm.
getting, either some of them maybe not have uh like a stable job, or they don't have they don't have the that enough help to get them, kickstart them from on their back on their feet, right? Example, like I always hear that the infrastructure there is not really good. Like there's no sewage is really limited, or water source really limited in certain island parts of Guam. So I
Mhm.
think this is a kickstart of helping them to build to that standard. It's gonna be very beneficial to them in so many ways.
Thank you so much. And thank you for just answering it so kindly and from your own personal perspective and from your family. And I hope my question or my own cultural shock didn't come off as like offensive or insensitive. Feel like this might be a reiteration, but I'd love to just hear more of your answers. What are the barriers when it comes to helping your clients with climate change? Are there any barriers other than language?
I was thinking language was on top of my head the whole
I'm
time,
so
but
sorry.
I yeah I no no I think because of course with language also it comes with education, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people are still aware of, like if you burn plastic, it causes a lot of chemicals going up to our ozone layer.
Right.
There's like if not enough planting could cause like landslides and all that stuff. So I think education is very important. Um, I'm not so sure if it's already part of like the education system here on Guam in public schools to teach more about like, how can we be environmental steward to our island. But I know that there are some programs that they do that.
Hello? Oh man, it's paused.
Elders, when it comes to the elders. Oh,
Oh no,
can
we're
you hear
good
me?
now. But I just want to let you
Okay,
know
yeah.
we have 9 minutes and
Okay.
thank you so much for your time. But I still wanted to like hear what you had to say.
Okay. Yeah, so I was talking about education with the elders, or those that are maybe adults or parents, ways for reaching out to them and then educating, or sharing more information about climate change and how they could be more into like environmental stewards to the island.
Okay. Is it difficult to ask incoming migrants to be environmentally conscious and environmentally aware when in reality, this is the sort of demographics and people that are not causing a lot of the destruction and they're really just trying to survive and make it here? Do you, what do you feel the narration
Mhm.
is on that?
That yeah, that's very true. Right, in the perspective of like the islands that are causing less pollution, but there's still some pollution that they cause. So I think it's better to be inclusive and just include them into, these are the things that are causing the reason why the factors are migrating is pollution. So it's also, I guess, just be inclusive and include them in teaching the different ways of being environmental stewards, and what are the major cause of environmental pollution, or being, I think it's they will be interested, because of course when it comes to typhoon, it affects all the islands before it comes to Guam too, right? So, or it could start from Pohnpei, or start from Chuuk. So things like that. It's just good to be inclusive. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Um, when you think of regional organizations working together to keep people informed about changing environment around them, are there any quick fixes that you can think of?
fixes. Yeah, I think it's sharing all the for regional, sharing all the different struggles that they're sharing. Because example, I was talking about RMI, right, in Marshall Islands, where the islands are sinking.
Mhm.
Maybe some of the communities from different part of the Micronesia are not experiencing that. Maybe some it's more of like trash polluting the
Okay.
the polluting the what I call the mangrove area, or it could be coral bleaching. I think it's collaborating and sharing those struggles will also help them of being aware of, oh, they're also struggling, but in a different way of struggling, but they're struggling under the same, it's under the same of environmental danger, right? Of same struggle in some sense. So I think it's to collaboration is very important to talk about the different struggles. Maybe
Mhm.
some of the different places are experiencing the same thing and they're doing something different than what they're doing. So it'll help them. So quick fixes could be just, I think, communication in so many ways, having like meetings where everybody comes together from Micronesia or from Pacific, and they do. I know that there's already already conferences that happens like this, right? But like
Right.
more of a small one, of focusing here on Micronesia or in Pacific.
Nice. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, Thank you so much for just answering all of my questions and then just bringing more perspectives on this sort of issue and just making it more inclusive so we can meet these needs as soon as possible, especially from the bottom up and the top down, and just like
Mhm.
getting in all different areas. And because you are
Of
just,
course, not a problem at all.
thank you so much, because you're on the ground and you're in the office, you're seeing the community directly, and you're doing the work that affects them short term and long term. So everything that you're saying is just so highly valuable. And I want other people to hear this sort of work so they can know how important it is for individual impact and how it creates such a big collaborative ripple effect.
Thank you for this opportunity for to share my, so these are just my perspective. It may be not what the organization think, but it's dear to my heart because of the work that we do is to help our the migrant community on Guam, especially those that want to call Guam their home, just where I come from. So yeah, it's just a great opportunity for me to share my perspective, what I think, especially what I feel, it comes from my heart. So I thank you for this opportunity for me to talk to you about this. So yeah, thank you.
Feels so good. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and happy New Year's.